Wake Up in Paradise, Chapter 11, and Lovers. Something woke Anne, a dream or movement. She opened her eyes, orienting herself, as she always did, to the strangeness of her surroundings, and looked directly into blue, midnight-rimmed eyes staring fixedly into hers. "Ryland," she whispered, and a smile replaced the sober expression on his face. "You are so beautiful," he answered in a low, lazy voice. "I can't imagine that I will ever tire of looking at you. The first time I saw you, I was enchanted. There you were, dancing in the moonlight like a woods fairy, your hair falling around you like a shimmering sunset." "You flatter me," she demurred, hiding her face in his embrace. "On the contrary," he responded, lifting her chin, "I can't but believe that I am merely one of a legion of your admirers who throw themselves at your feet." Anne dropped her eyes away from Ryland's teasing ones and laid her head in the curve of his shoulder. She shook her head in denial at the whole absurd conversation. "You are an enigma to me, love," he whispered in her ear. "I fail to fathom how one so lovely does not perceive the fact. Do you not look in your mirror?" "You make me feel beautiful," Anne murmured, overcome by his words. "Oh, my darling, darling girl," Ryland crooned, pulling her closer into his arms. A feeling of satisfaction stole over Anne. Ryland was so wonderful. She did not care if any of this was real or a line that he used. These weeks with him had surpassed all of her daydreams, and she would not think beyond right now, or tomorrow for that matter. She would take what she could and let the chips fall where they may. "I have to make a confession," Anne blurted out, plucking at your invitation just sort of happened fast, and I didn't get a chance to think about Maman and Papa." "What happened?" Ryland responded in concern. "Maman is not happy with me. I didn't expect that," she apologized, her face flaming with embarrassment. "I will reassure them," Ryland said. "For an American, you're an innocent, Anne." "And you all know so much about Americans," she countered, a bit aggressively, because the statement sounded like an insult. "As a matter of fact, I have a number of friends in the States," Ryland replied, tenderly, brushing her tangled curls behind her shoulders. "Darling Anne," he murmured, "if I have not made myself clear on the matter." He kissed her with fervor. With the dawn creeping into the open windows, promising another wonderful day, Anne reveled in the knowledge that this wonderful man chose to be right here holding her and kissing her. Ryland raised his head and looked into Anne's eyes with an emotion in them that was so brilliant she felt it stab in her heart. A stranger that she did not know until a few weeks ago had invaded her very soul. Merciful heavens, she thought dreamily, surely she would have remembered if she had ever experienced anything like this in the past. Later, when Anne woke again, the sun was high overhead, and despite the air conditioning that she could hear running, she was warm and the sheet covering her felt damp. Ryland was no longer with her. Resolutely, she rolled off the bed, intent on getting a bath and having some morning coffee. She found Ryland on the main floor in one of the rooms that looked as if it was designed to be an office. The floating shelves had surprisingly few books on them for such a large room. Stone and marble sculptures in free-flowing designs were placed artfully around the sparsely furnished room. Some of the marble statues were graceful, and the natural colors of the polished surfaces were beautiful. There was also a collection of little fat, odd-looking figures among the books. The little figurines were very ugly in comparison to Renaud's delicate carvings. Despite Ryland's prior claim that there would be absolutely no phones, he was deep in conversation on one of them. He flashed her a welcoming smile and reached out his hand to her as she approached him. He held on to it, not allowing her to leave. "I'm ringing you off, old chap," he spoke into the phone. "Friday next, right you are." Casually, Ryan pushed the phone away and rose to his feet, still holding Anne's hand. "I see you found everything you needed," he said, his gaze focused on her hair that she had braided in one plait while it was still wet. "Yes," Anne beamed shyly, returning his welcoming smile. "Are you famished?" he asked, looking closely at her. "I thought we would make a late breakfast together." "It's brunch," she corrected. "Brunch?" he repeated, raising one eyebrow questioningly. "A word meaning breakfast and lunch together. A late breakfast," she explained. "I see," he replied. "It's silly. I don't know why it came to me," Anne apologized, unable to take her eyes from his penetrating gaze. "Nonsense. You must tell me whatever you are thinking if we are to get to know one another. I want to know everything about you, Anne," Ryland said. "Coffee?" she asked a bit dramatically, when she was able to pull her gaze away from his. "Do you all drink coffee for breakfast?" "We will find you coffee, love." Ryan laughed heartily. Still clasping her hand, he pulled her along behind him up the stairway toward the kitchen.